they didn't help at all. The side characters were basically just so big that I ended up liking it. Where do I even start with these books? They're in 10, so we're getting there. I'm going to finish this freaking ass series. Hi, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another video. I am going to be doing a wrap-up TBR video. This is kind of like a normal video that comes out every end of the month / beginning of the new month. I know a few days has passed in April. I know I'm a little bit late to this, but better late than never. I'm also combining my wrap-up and TBR because I don't have a huge wrap-up and I also don't have a huge TBR since I will be traveling to Italy in the end of the month, and so I don't have like a huge TBR. For the month of March, I read a total of 8 books. I read 5 physical books and then I read 3 Kindle books. At the end of the month of March, I was actually in Korea, so that was when I read all of my Kindle books. But most of these books that I read were actually in a video. It was the reading vlog that I posted prior to this video. So yeah, most of the reviews and stuff, like in-depth reviews of these books, are in that video. So if you guys want to check it out, y'all can. I did write a few notes on my phone because I was scared of forgetting a few key points. So let us start with the first book I read in the month of March, and that is Ali Hazelwood's Love on the Brain. I made sure to read this kind of spaced out with The Love Hypothesis. I think I read The Love Hypothesis in September. I really wanted to read it since I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about this book, and I wanted to like have my own opinions on this book. So Love on the Brain talks about B and Levi. Both of them work for NASA. Well, B was recruited for NASA, but Levi worked for it previously. B thinks that Levi doesn't like her, but they ended up working together in a project, and that's when the romance starts. Some people kind of call it enemies to lovers, but I personally don't think it's enemies to lovers because it's more like miscommunication to lovers. The whole premise of this book is basically the fact that B thinks Levi hates her and comes to realize that Levi never really hated her to begin with. I actually liked this book. I know that more people didn't like this book because of how similar this book is to The Love Hypothesis, but to me, even though it was similar, the plot wasn't really the same. I know some people like Adam Carlson more, but I actually like Levi Ward more. His character is not as grumpy as Adam Carlson. If you guys read The Love Hypothesis, you'll know that Ali Hazelwood really likes to state the fact that Adam Carlson's big, and it's the same thing with this one. Basically, Levi Ward is big. The book wasn't boring, that's for sure. It was pretty entertaining. I loved the science aspect of this book. I liked how they explained the project. I liked how they went about the project. So I liked the science aspect of this book, which is why I really liked it. And so my initial rating of this book was actually 4 stars. But that is only if I thought about this book as on its own, like without the Love Hypothesis behind it. But because unfortunately the Love Hypothesis was released before this book, I put that in consideration and I decided to give this book a 3.5 stars out of 5. The next book I read is this book, Fable by Adrienne Young. I'm just gonna combine it together because Fable is a duology and I did read both of the books. So I read Fable and Namesake this month. Namesake was in the reading vlog, but Fable wasn't in the reading vlog. This duology is basically about pirates. I wouldn't say they're pirates actually. They're actually ship traders. There are no mystical creatures. There are no fantastical creatures. It's just a fantasy background, but no one has magic or whatsoever. They're just ordinary humans. Duology centers around a girl called Fable. She is the child of a very powerful trader called Saint, and one day she was thrown off the boat and left stranded by her own father in an island called Javal, and she was left there to earn money and survive on her own. But her main goal was to get off the island and to find her father. After finding her father, she wants to join back into his crew. She then gets the help of another ship trader called West, and they both go on this journey to kind of find her father, figure out what happened. The whole duology was unique in a way that I've never really read a plot like this before. The way Adrienne Young narrates her books was more descriptive instead of narrative. I think that took a while for me to get used to. Fable took a while for me to get into, actually. I remember reading the first 100 pages like actually in the beginning of February. I pushed it off and then I went back to it March. There were so many descriptions, there were so many things to like understand, and because it's like a world of its own, there are so many terms that I had to get used to. One thing for sure is that I really liked the way Adrian Young kind of wove the characters and the crew and the story. There were actually a really decent amount of characters in this duology, but I felt like every single one of those characters really stood out. They really had their own story, they contributed to the plot, and it was beautiful in a sense where there was like this found family aspect. Plot was unpredictable, so many twists and turns. You don't really know what's happening, you don't really know what's gonna happen as well, and they're so like out of the ordinary, and it was really exciting for me because I really liked the fact that I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was kept on my toes. I just want to continue reading because I didn't know what was happening. The characters were all morally gray. They all had their own flaws, but for some reason I really liked the characters. I feel like they're kind of a little bit similar to like the Six of Crows, these 6 people, because I'm pretty sure the crew is a crew of 6. Fable definitely ranked lower. I gave Fable 3 stars and then I gave Namesake 4. The only reason why the both of them did not get higher ratings is because the plot, the story was so descriptive and mostly just like description heavy that it took a while for me to get into, and it was really hard to read sometimes. That's about Fable and Namesake. The last physical books that I read is a duology as well, and it's these Hollow Vows and these Twisted Bonds by Lexi Ryan. Where do I even start with these books? If you watch the reading vlog, to which I actually honestly suggest you do, because the unhinged expressions that I got from reading these books were insane. It was trashy fantasy romance to the brim, to the core. They're really heavy, so I'm just gonna put them here. But this duology talks about a girl called Bree. Her full name's Abriella. So in this story, there's a segregation between the human world and the Fae world. And same with Akatar. Basically, the Fae don't really like humans and the humans don't really like Fae. And Abriella, she doesn't like Fae, but then she is kind of contracted by her aunt to work in slavery. However, she didn't have the money to pay off her contract, and so her sister was sold to the Fae realm in the Unseelie court, and she decides to go there to save her sister. And it is a love triangle situation, so she ends up meeting 2 different princes, one from the Seelie court and one from the Unseelie court, and those 2 became her love interests. And you guys can guess from here, if y'all read Akatar, it's basically the same thing, okay? It's the same type of premise. It goes about the same way. I found this extremely fun to read, but it was also atrociously cliche. Classic tropes, basically boring, and the writing felt a little bit amateurish because it was so easy to read, but I didn't feel any sort of emotion from the characters. I didn't feel like anything from the characters. It was supposed to be like an emotional scene, but I didn't feel sad about it because there was nothing that could have evoked those emotions for me. Bree as a character is just whiplash from top to bottom. She's supposed to save her sister, but she keeps thinking about the boys, not understanding why she's being jealous of the boys, and it was not it. Just not it. These 2 books, I think I rated them 2.5 each, but I think I'm going to go down to a 2 stars because they're absurd. They're an absurd duology. I don't even know why I read them, but that's these Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. Didn't mention this, forgot to mention it, but I saw my notes. Basically, the queen, we're supposed to hate the queen in this duology, but the queen barely appeared, so I didn't really hate the queen. And the side characters were basically useless. I didn't know why they were there. They didn't help at all. Guys, I just saw my notes and I realized I forgot to include 1 more physical book, so I actually read 6 physical books. I read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't know why I forgot this book because I had a positive experience reading this book and I loved it so much that I decided that I'm gonna continue reading TJR books. That's how great Malibu Rising was. I enjoyed the writing. I didn't think I was going to enjoy the writing. I went into this kind of a little bit scared that I was going to hate the writing, but I really enjoyed it. I loved everything. The beginning portion of this book was captivating. I enjoyed the characters so much. I love the family in this. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she writes it, but it was so charming. It was so captivating. I did, however, have one dislike about this book. I didn't like how there were too many point of views of different characters. That part kind of threw me off. I didn't really like it, but it was still an exciting read. I still enjoyed every single part of it, so that's why this book got 4.5 stars out of 5. That's like a really high rating for me. Malibu Rising basically centers around the Riva family. The main character is Nina Riva, the eldest daughter of Mick Riva, and Nina Riva has 3 other younger siblings called Jay, Hud, and Kit. It kind of revolves around the annual summer party that Nina Riva always throws in her villa. While throwing the summer party, after the party ended, there was a fire that burned the villa to the ground. Yeah, I was really excited to read it, and I was really happy that I ended up liking it. We're gonna get into the Kindle books that I read. So I read these when I was traveling in Korea, and I read 3 books. The first one I read is Vow Thieves, which is the sequel to Dance of Thieves. I read Dance of Thieves last year. Basically, with Vow Thieves, I liked the storyline. I like the fact that Vow Thieves has a lot more romance compared to Dance of Thieves. I am not gonna lie, I don't really remember the plot of Dance of Thieves. It was a really long time since I've read it, and it really didn't leave that much of a mark in my mind. I think I rated it like 3.5 stars. But because of the world building, I could understand Vow of Thieves a lot more, which is why I had a more enjoyable time reading it. I remember just being on the plane and reading it, and I was tearing up so bad about some of the scenes. And with that being said, like, if a book made me emotional, I would definitely rank it higher because it was able to invoke those kind of emotions in me. I loved the 2 main characters so much. I loved Kazi and Jace. Kazi was such a strong female character. I loved her to bits. She was such a great molded character. I did really enjoy the second book, but I just found the plot like sometimes a little bit boring. However, because it really invoked a lot of emotions in me, I decided to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then the last 2 books that I read were new finds for me. This was recommended to me by my friend, and this is Blood of My Monster and Lies of My Monster by Rena Kent. I read these 2 on Kindle Unlimited, so you guys can find them on KU. This is a trilogy. The last book has yet to come out. It is set to come out in the 6th of April. I think when I get this up, the last book is out. It is actually a part of a bigger series. There are 2 other series that comes within the same world, and I've actually read them this month in April because it's been a few days. I will not talk about those. I'll just talk about Blood of My Monster and Lies of My Monster. It is about a girl called Sasha. I'll just call her Sasha. She has a lot of names, but I'm just gonna call her Sasha. She's a part of the military, I think in Russia. She's actually pretending to be a boy in this military to survive, because essentially girls are not supposed to be part of this military group. And then she encounters a captain of a certain team called Kirill, and Kirill is actually a part of the Russian mafia. He is set to actually replace his dad's position because his dad is essentially dying, and his dad is a part of this Russian mafia group called the Bratva, I think. Again, I might be wrong. I will put any parts that I say wrong up in the screen, but they're part of the Bratva. It is a big group of a few like stronger people who kind of rule the whole Russian mafia. It's a dark romance. It has a lot of trigger warnings, so if you guys want to read this book, please check your trigger warnings. It is dark. It is manipulative, but I kind of liked it. It definitely didn't feel boring at all. Spice level was, I wouldn't say it was really high, maybe like a 3.5/4, so it wasn't really that bad. And it wasn't cringy, for sure. Like, the romance portions were not cringy at all. I loved the like spicy scenes. It didn't give me the ick, so that was great. And the storyline was so well put out. Politics in it, the fact that they're in the military, and that the girl, she trained a lot, so she's like very much well trained in the like combat, so I feel like she's a very strong female character. I do have to mention that I liked Blood of My Monster a lot more than Lies of My Monster. I felt like Sasha got a little bit weak in Lies of My Monster because like now that she's already kind of fallen in love with Kirill, she became like romance heavy brained or something. And I like the twists and turns. I like that like the politics part, I really couldn't predict what's gonna happen. There's like a secretive portion about Sasha's identity, and I really like that part. I really couldn't guess anything. My dark romance scale, Blood of My Monster is 4, and then Lies of My Monster is 3.5. I'm hoping that Heart of My Monster, which is like the 3rd book that's coming out in the 6th of April, is gonna be good, because I really want a good ending. This is like my first Rina Kent book, but I enjoyed it splendidly. And that is it for my wrap up. Currently I read 9 books. I read 6 physical books and I read 3 Kindle books. And now let us get into my TBR. My first TBR is Addicted to You by Kristen Becca Ritchie. I actually am reading it right now. I am at page 210, so we're getting there. This is the first book of the Addicted series. This is about Lily and Lo. They're both addicts. Lily is a sex addict and Lo is an alcoholic, and it talks about their friendship and their romance and their relationship with what they're addicted to and how they kind of conquer it. I am not gonna talk about my thoughts because I'm making a reading vlog, so you'll see that in the next reading vlog. Next up on my TBR is Jeanette McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died. This is her memoir. I kind of mentioned this in my previous reading vlog, but I wanted to read it and then I ended up just reading these whole Vows, the duology. So this month I want to get into this because I've heard so many great things about it. It is about her life as a child actress and how she grew from it and how her toxic mom kind of played a part with her being a child actress. It is an exciting read. I am excited to read it. My camera died, so if the position changes, I apologize. But I was in the middle of talking about these 2 books. So this is the duology by Sulin Tan. This is the Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and I've had these books since last year, so I am excited to finally get through this physical TBR because it's about time I finally read these books. The only reason why I've yet to read it is because I've heard so many people talk about great things about Daughter of the Moon Goddess that like I don't want to read it because I am so scared that it's gonna be so good. You know, that kind of feeling. I don't actually know what this book is about. I just know it's about a girl who is the daughter of the moon goddess. She is kind of like hidden away from society, from the world, not society, from the world. Let me quickly read the blurb. I was wrong. I was a little bit correct though. The daughter of the moon goddess, her name is Sing In. She is not supposed to be known by the world. She was hidden by her mom because she was not supposed to exist, but then one day someone found her existence, so she ran away, leaving her mom behind, and she sets out to kind of save her mom from the Celestial Emperor. And I would love to know how to read her name. There's probably like pinging on how to read her name. I just need to figure it out. The reason why I wanted to read this book so much, the reason why I bought it, is because it is about Chinese folklore, and I am Chinese, so I like really want to read a book about Chinese folklore. But yeah, that is the Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. The last book I'm gonna read is my Kindle Unlimited book that is gonna come out that I mentioned already, and that is Heart of the Monster by Rina Kent. I am going to finish this freaking ass series. The ending of Lies of My Monster was a freaking cliffhanger, so I was super glad that I don't have to wait super long for this book. And that is it for my TBR. It's only like, I think 5 books, but I don't want to have too much to read because I will be leaving in like 2 weeks, and that means I have to read 5 books in 2 weeks. And it has come to my understanding that I don't read as fast as I expect to read. So that's my TBR. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this setup of my wrap up and my TBR together, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all the books that I've read. I am definitely kind of happy that I read a lot of books in March. I am going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for clicking on this video, to be honest. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. Don't forget to like it. Don't forget to click on your bell notifications, so if I upload, you'll get a notification. And don't forget to comment down below the books that you read in March and what books you liked. Recommend me some books. I would love to hear any recommendations, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!